All right. I almost didn't record today because I didn't know if I was feeling up to it. I know that it's the beginning of Leo season, but it felt very emotional for me today. So, yeah, I don't know how your Leo season's kicking off, but mine's doing pretty fantastic. I ain't afeard of no emotional waves. Anyways, welcome to another one of my videos. As I said in my last collective reading, I was wanting to do a pick a card, and so here we are. I wrote down a couple different pick a card options, and all of which I am going to get to, but this one today is repeating lessons. Like whatever lesson that you're in right now, that you're currently going through. And I also, I like doing channeled messages just because it adds a little bit more variety. Like, I never know what's going to come through. And the same can be said of the cards as well, but like, it's just different. I like it. I know that other readers do like channel messages, so it's not different all across the board, but it's different in the sense that it's not just what comes out in the cards. It's like I get a little sprinkle of, I wanted to say spontaneity, which isn't exactly untrue, but it's like just different messages can come through in the channel messages, even some that don't have anything to do with like the topic of the reading, and so that's why I personally like them. So I've got 3 piles. I'm of course going to post a picture somewhere so y'all can pick. Um, you can pick multiple if you feel so called. If not, that's also fine. Um, yeah, we're just gonna get into it. So I've got pile 1, channeled messages. I'm always gonna start with the channeled messages because I feel like it really sets the tone. So pile 1, don't be in such a hurry to have everything figured out. Life is a process. Patience, endurance, beauty in the seemingly mundane. Pick your battles wisely. Not everything or everyone is worthy of your energy at this time. Enjoy the little things. That's all big things are really composed of, is just a bunch of little things. Also, this this one was really interesting. Call your grandma and tell her that you love her. So somebody need to call their grandmama. So that's all I have for the channel messages for pile 1. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into the actual reading. I hope y'all are well or experiencing whatever it is that you need to be experiencing in order to get to a state of wellness if you aren't. Okay. So I'm going to do my best to remember the names. He say. I've got dogs. Well, they're not my dogs, but there are dogs here, so they may bark. Um, I'm going to do my best to remember the names of the crystals that I have for each pile. I want to say this one is fluorite, but I don't remember which kind. So, pile 1 is this little fluorite guy. I lost my sneeze. I was gonna sneeze. Okay. All right. So how this is gonna go is I've got a notebook because I don't have the capacity to remember this um, from the top of my head yet. So the repeating lesson, there's going to be 5 cards. We're going to look at the lesson that keeps repeating, why it keeps repeating, like what it's showing you. What is difficult or painful about it? Like, why would you have resistance to integrating this lesson or navigating this lesson? Like, because if it wasn't, I don't want to say difficult, but like, if it wasn't offering some sort of resistance, then it would be easy for you, and therefore you would have already been doing it or like integrated it already. Um, Asterisk, because that's a whole funny zip thing. But for the most part, like, the repeating lesson is something that is repeating. It's something that you're continuously being faced with. So, like, if you're continuously being faced with it, why haven't you integrated it yet? Obviously, there's a certain aspect you're not seeing, or you are seeing it, but you're not trying to see it. So, anyways, um, how can you see this lesson from a higher perspective? I'm gonna go let him out. All right, this time with feeling. Oh, how can I see this lesson from a higher perspective? And then finally, how can you release yourself from the cycle? How can you make it not repeat anymore? Like, how can you be like, yep, okay, I ain't gonna do that no more, or I am gonna do that, and then bust open a new cycle? Okay. So, what I've got first here is the lesson that keeps repeating is the sun. I hope that she's focusing. Now, the sun speaks to me about abundance, like things that make you happy, yes, but more than just like a surface level happy. Like, this is something that is genuinely fulfilling to you. Maybe a lifestyle that is fulfilling to you, it's giving like an abstract it's giving an abstract feeling right now that I'm trying to distill into words. Because when you say abundance, that can take a myriad of forms, and not all of which are physical. So, with this sun card being a lesson that repeats itself, is I feel that you are attempting to get this for yourself. Like, manifest this, if you will. Like, make it happen for yourself. Like, you want to experience happiness. You want to experience fulfillment. You want this abundance and this clarity of, like, I'm living the life that makes me happy, that is fulfilling to me. And I know that I'm doing a lot of repetition here, but I'm really trying to like pinpoint it. But it's clarified by the Eight of Cups and the Sun. So you got the Sun twice. So what this tells me is you need to walk away from things that are not fulfilling to you. How are you supposed to have this sun, this abundance, this everything that you want if you're unwilling to walk away from the things that aren't that? And that could be external things, that could be people, places, things, like all that jazz. It could also be walking away from perspectives, from certain mindsets. It could be external or internal. The next card that we have is, what is this showing you? Like, why is the lesson repeating? And we've got the Nine of Earth. Now, the Nine of Pentacles, that's what the Nine of Earth is. The Nine of Pentacles typically speaks to like a financial independence. Like, Pentacles are like physical, tangible things, but it also speaks to me of independence within oneself, like feeling. So we're talking about like this thing of abundance. Within this realm of abundance, it's you that is able to create that for yourself. Like, you are relying on yourself. And that's not to say that you wouldn't benefit from seeking assistance and collaborating with others in creating this, but you're able to rely on yourself to make the decisions that you need to make in order to bring it to fruition. And this is clarified by the Hanged Man and the Four of Wands. Now, the Hanged Man typically speaks to me about a change in perspective, a different way of viewing things. So, what I'm gathering thus far is that you have the abundance. You have it. Maybe it isn't exactly in the way that you would like it to be, as though it would like be in its final form. Like, it's not to that zenith, it's not to that ultimate yet. But this Eight of Cups over the Sun, and you've got the Sun twice, which tells me that it is available to you. It is a state of mind. It is a state of perception, specifically for what I'm picking up on right now. And you need to walk away from this idea of what abundance is and what it is not. And I think that I had channeled enjoy the little things. Okay, it was in a different pile. But it's essentially enjoying the little things, focusing on the abundance that is available to you in your life now, instead of, not necessarily that it's a bad thing to wish that it was different, but not hyper focusing on what it isn't so much that you miss out on what's available before you. Because the Four of Wands speaks to like celebration and like that kind of like atmosphere, if you will. And paired with this Hanged Man, it really speaks to me about a change in perception of your current situation and your current circumstances. And are you really as I really don't want to word it this way, but like, are you really as not as where you would like to be as you think that you are? Like, are you really not that abundant? Like, can you really not find anything to find? Sorry, can you really not find anything to be grateful for? Like, look at the small things that make up the whole of your reality and your life experience. The people that you have around you that you love and care about you. The animals, perhaps. Maybe you have dogs. Take pleasure in the simple things, because if you can't do that, then you're not going to be able to enjoy the big things when they come. I'm getting this feeling of like what a missed opportunity would feel like if you had missed out on, like, I'm getting that deathbed energy where it's like you look back at your life and you're like, fuck, dude, like, I didn't even know. Like, had I known then what I know now, I would have done things differently. I would have appreciated these things more. It's like, how can you get yourself into a perspective to celebrate the things that are in your life now that are abundant? And that isn't to say like, oh, be grateful for what you have, as though you're not supposed to want more, because that's perfectly fine. Like, that's the whole thing of desire, is that like, oh, like, we're taught like you're not supposed to like want more because that's like greedy. Don't be unappreciative of what you have. It's like, it's a balance. Being able to appreciate what you have in this moment, but also recognize how you would like it to evolve. And maybe you don't even have like a clear vision of how it's going to evolve. And speaking of clear vision, I'm going to wipe my camera really quick. All right, that looks a million times better. Forgot where I left off. She won't come back though. Oh, having a clear vision of what it is that you would like to move towards. But before you can do that, you have to be able to appreciate what you have now. Because if you aren't able to do that, then when the bigger things do come in, you're not going to really be satisfied because you're not savoring it. You're not able to slow down enough to take it in. Um, and even before that, let's say like you are just like completely missing like the abundance in your life. It's like you may want more and not know how to get it because you don't know how to sink into feeling appreciative and feeling gratitude for the things around you. That would be like a first step. I feel like, I know we're not there yet, but like it's going to be different for each person tuning in. So with this, not everything and everyone deserves your energy. It's giving what thoughts deserve your energy. Are you going to invest in self-defeating thoughts of like, I don't have this and I don't have enough and I don't know how this is going to work? Or are you going to treat it like a process? So it's giving, don't be in such a hurry to have everything figured out. Like you may want that final product now, but it is a process. Everything is a process. Everything is continuously unfolding, like in this now moment. Like time is passing second by second. Like your cells are replacing themselves. Like there's all this stuff happening in the now moment, but it's easy to get so lost in our perception of what we can perceive is going on. And it's like the way that human attention works is that it's like, I forget who said this, whether it was Alan Watts or Ram Dass, but it's like a spotlight. So it's like you're in a dark room with a flashlight and you're only able to see whatever it is that you're currently focused on, regardless of whatever else is in the room. So the thoughts that come in that tell you like, oh, I don't have anything to be grateful for, I don't have enough, like I just want to be here already, like be there already, at some final destination, not the movie, but like some, like, oh, I want to have a business, but I'm at the beginning and I don't want to be at the beginning. And it's like hard to have appreciation for the fact that I'm at the beginning. And I resonate with this from time to time. It's like I recognize that it's a process, but also I just want to have it. I just want it. So I resonate with this in the sense that like I'm a human being and I experience those things as well. And like you can even think of it in terms of like fitness as well. I like using that as an example because it's very grounded. It's very like in your body. Like everybody's got a body, so you can relate to this in one way or another. So it's like you may want to have that physique that you're aiming for, but it takes work and you have to put in the work like step by step. But you just want it. And it's easy to talk yourself out of it if you're like, oh, it's never going to work, you know, like maybe I should just stop, or oh, it's too hard. It's like, be mindful of what you're giving your energy to, because the people who do get in shape, whatever that looks like, and they are where you would like to be, they did not get there by listening to those thoughts. But it doesn't mean that they don't have them. It just means that you have to redirect your focus to the process, patience, endurance, beauty in the seemingly mundane. Oh, that was the quote that I was looking for earlier that I thought was in another pile, but it was right in front of my face. Pulled a sneaky on me. Yeah, life is a process, yo. Like, don't be in such a hurry to have it figured out, because nobody does and nobody ever will. Like, you're here to unfold step by step. You're not here to, it's like we want to live our lives as though we're watching a movie. We want to be like permanently in the observer state, but like you have to realize that you're the one running this shit. You are the one operating the body. You're the one choosing what you put your energy and focus into. You can be like, wow, like I just want it to happen already, but like you're the one that's going to make it happen. So if you're not enjoying the process and you're not involved like fully in the process and you're just kind of like waiting for something to happen, you're waiting on you, babe. You're waiting on you. And if you're impatient, that's only going to perpetuate this state of I just want to be there when there is nowhere else to be except right now. So if you're not able to enjoy right now and enjoy the process that you're currently involved in, you're not going to be able to enjoy the process when you get to where you want to be. That's like giving you go through high school, you go to college, you get a good job or whatever, like an internship, and then you work your way up to like CEO or something, and then you sit down and you're like, I finally made it. But you don't feel any different. You worked your ass off for like 20, 30 years to get to where you wanted to be, or so you thought, and now here you are, but you're not able to enjoy it because you still haven't figured out how to be right now. Be in the right now, which is the key. You have to be involved in the process as it is unfolding, because it's not like you're going to be able to watch it like a happily ever after and then everything just like is that for the rest of your life. Like, it doesn't work like that, but we're sold that lie. Oh, okay, so the next thing is, what is difficult or painful? Like, why the resistance? And you've got the moon card, clarified by the death card, and the king of spheres. And so what this is giving is the reason, or one of the reasons for the resistance that you are experiencing as it pertains to this pattern, this cycle, is that there's a lot of unknown involved. Like, you can't see the way forward. Like, what's coming to mind right now is it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know what about your situation doesn't make sense, but like that's what came through what I heard is it doesn't make sense. And so, with it being clarified by death and the king of spheres, the king of pentacles, what that is giving is the way that you are approaching it needs to be altered. It needs to transform. And I feel as though it needs to transform from this king of pentacles rigid, like, I'm going to use this wording, so like more masculine, where it's like you go out and you do it and you bust your ass and you fucking make it happen. But with the moon being here, it's giving, there's a lot of unknown. There's a lot that you can't see. There's a lot that still needs to happen before you can see the steps like that you're going to take either next or in the future past the steps that you're currently taking. But it requires more of a fluid approach as opposed to having a rigid schedule, everything by the book, which I'm not saying structure is bad, but in this particular situation, I feel like you have an idea of how this is supposed to work and how it's supposed to go, and your resistance is in changing that perspective. I'm not saying you have to like throw the whole bitch out, that there's no place for it in its entirety, but during this particular point in time, the reason why you were experiencing so much resistance is because you want to have it figured out. You want to be there already. And that's not how it works. You're being called to relax into this experience of the unknown, essentially. Like, allow it to be a process instead of like, okay, I'm at the beginning, but I've got it all mapped out like from beginning to end, and I'm gonna do this, and this, and then I'm gonna get there. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. It doesn't. And I was glancing over because I was feeling called to like scan this again. Endurance. Endurance is being emphasized here because it does, like this whole process that I'm picking up on, does require perseverance and for you to like stick with it. But it's not going to be so rigid. It's sticking with it despite the fact that you can't see everything. Like, how committed are you to your abundance, to your project, to your manifestation, whatever it is? Releasing your grip on how you think things have to be, and instead focusing on what's before you and enjoying the little things now and finding joy in what you have right now, while also putting in the necessary steps and the work required as those opportunities or situations arise. How can you see this lesson from a higher perspective? You've got the Queen of Earth, which I find very interesting, that you have the King of Spheres, which is the King of Pentacles, and the Queen of Earth, which is the Queen of Pentacles. So the counterparts. So it's like you've got the right suit, like you're not in the wrong ballpark. It's just the way that you're going about it needs to be tweaked, is what I'm getting from this. So Queen of Earth. So instead of a masculine approach, you're being called to take a more feminine approach, which to me looks like focusing on self first and foremost. And what that looks like is like self-care things, and not just like doing your nails or like, you know, like it can include these things, absolutely. I'm not saying that it can't. Why the hell are you out of focus right now? Why are you doing it again? You fucking weird, bro. Is it my eyes? Are my eyes out of focus? Or is the camera out of focus? Bitch may need glasses. I don't know. We learning today. So with the Queen of Earth, what I'm getting is slowing down and focusing less on how you're going to ground this thing and make it happen, and very masculine, go out and get that thing, and how you can relax into the abundance that you have currently within yourself, fall deeper into what nourishes you. So like savoring your foods as you're eating it, for instance, like cooking things that you enjoy, spending quality time with the people that you love, like nourishing yourself in a very practical way. So it's not just like, oh, give yourself affirmations and stuff. I'm not negating any of this, but like in this specific scenario, for this specific energy, it's got a practical flavor to it. So it's like, what can I do for myself? Like the food that you're eating, what you're putting into your body, maybe even working out, maybe like stretching, like your physical body, and providing that for yourself and allowing yourself to receive that as well, because that's going to allow you to be in the state necessary to get to where you want to go. If we're talking endurance here, you can't bulldoze your way through this. That's like you're trying to run a race, but you haven't eaten anything, and you're not trying to eat anything. You're just trying to like train all the time. It doesn't work that way. You're going to hear me say that shit a lot, like it doesn't work that way, because I know what it feels like to be in that mindset or in like the realm of, and so I can legitimately tell you that it doesn't work that way. And especially also because I'm tapping into the energy, so like cross-referencing like my own experience with, that's a weird motion for that, cross-referencing my own experience with the energy I'm picking up on and providing insight into some of the pitfalls that I myself have experienced. And that isn't to say that I've experienced all of them, but like I'll let you know. This is clarified by the Six of Cups. And the Emperor. So with the Six of Cups and the Emperor, what this is giving is you are creating the memories that you will look back on later. Think of it like that. Because the you that is putting in the work right now, if you're so busy working on this one thing that you're neglecting every other aspect of your life, maybe even including yourself, you're going to look back and go, damn, I have no memories really to look back on other than when I was working my ass off because I didn't take time to prioritize like what was emotionally important to me as well. And it's so easy to be disconnected from what is emotionally important to you if you're so focused on chasing the bag or like grounding this thing or whatever it is. It's really easy to fall into that space. But with the Emperor here, it's really calling for you to step into your power as an authority on your own life. And I feel like that's going to be a theme throughout all three of these piles. Spoiler alert. Taking control of where your attention goes, where your energy is being placed, what that means for you. So when you really recognize that the now moment that you're in, you are living out and creating the memories that you will experience later on when you look back, it changes your perspective about what's going on now, because it's like, damn, do I want to look back and regret that I didn't take time to do these things or to slow down? It's like it really gives you another perspective other than the go, 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 go. And then the last one is, how can I release myself from this cycle? And you've got the King of Fire. And this is really giving me like that Emperor and Queen of Earth energy combined together. And I'm going to tell you why. So it's giving, his heart is all lit up. But the King of Fire, the King of Wands, is very passionately driven, like very Emperor energy, actually. So it's a combination of like of those things. So it's like that leadership energy of taking control of like where your attention is going, what you're prioritizing, what matters to you. But it's like heart-centered. It's like from an emotional basis, not necessarily what you think that you should be doing, but rather like what is important to you, like what feels like you want to, what feels like I'm trying to think of the word here. Okay, so they're giving me above his head or around his head, there's like the sun, right? So it's like you are operating in this now moment from a space where you recognize, I know what's important to me. I know what I want to prioritize. Maybe it's family, maybe it's friends, maybe it's just slowing down and being with yourself, whatever the case is. You're operating with that in mind. You're operating from that like higher perspective of, I know that I'm going to get to where I need to go. This thing is going to ground. I'm going to experience my abundance. So if I know that that is for sure, how can I enjoy the process now? And it's clarified by the Seven of Swords and the Three of Spheres. So this is reiterating to me what I had already touched on with the Seven of Swords being like, I don't really like this term, but self-sabotage, where it would result in like, okay, yeah, you're putting all this work in now and you're doing all this stuff, but when you look back later, you'll realize that you really missed out on the more important things because you were so focused on what you thought was important at that moment because of your anxiety because of what you thought you needed to focus on for whatever reason. And the Three of Spheres is giving like that building energy. Like, okay, I hope you can see this. So there's a tiny guy waving down at the bottom, and then there's this big guy like doing his thing on these three pentacles, right? So it's giving maybe other aspects of your life waving down there trying to get your attention. Hey, like, pay attention to me. I would like some of like your time, your love, your affection, your attention, your energy. But you're so busy building this thing that you're ignoring them. And you're not going to regret it until later when you realize, well, damn, I didn't know. I was so focused on this thing that I neglected to see all this, like the spotlight. I was so focused with my flashlight over here that I missed all this stuff over here. So it's really calling for you to slow down and prioritize what is important to you. And if you don't know what that is, get very clear on it. Take the time out. You're being called to slow down anyways. And you're going to get to where you want to go anyways, but do you want to get there and have it and then have regrets because you were going to get there anyways and you didn't take time to enjoy the process? Or are you going to realize, okay, slow and steady wins the race, like patience, endurance, I'm going to get there anyways, so I'm going to also enjoy the process, and I'm going to also cultivate my connections more deeply. I'm going to also do these other things, like, for example, I did not intend on this, but I want to pull one of these oracle cards. It's I think it's the Unshakable Inner Peace Oracle is what it's called. Damn, that came out quick. So the bottom of the deck for me is always like a theme, no matter what I'm pulling from. And this says, Midas touch. Things are working out in your favor. In what ways are you abundant right now? Which touched on at the beginning of the reading, not to toot my own intuitive horn or anything, but like, that's the flavor. And then the card that came out was, don't run from the darkness, embrace your shadow side. What aspect of yourself have you been afraid to look at or address? And I feel like this is speaking to the aspect of yourself that is always on the go, that doesn't want to slow down, that doesn't want to change, essentially. And not to say that, like, you have to change everything about yourself, but recognize how continuing in this way would be a detriment to your experience, as opposed to a benefit. So look at the aspects of you that don't want to slow down and figure out where they come from. Why don't they want to slow down? What would happen if you slowed down that you're afraid of? Like, your itch is so fucking bad. Y'all gonna see me do a lot of human shit on here, and I don't even give a fuck. Because, like, you got a body too, ho. Come for me. Alright, but that's all I got for this file, so I'm gonna catch you in another reading, perhaps, mayhaps, if you do decide to come back, or in another pile if you chose multiple, but other than that, I love you guys, and, yeah, still working on outros, but you know how it is, human shit. Alright. Pile 2, you've got, I want to say this is Azurite, but I am not certain at all. This is the second guy, the second pile stone guy. She real blue. And she got a little green in there. She real shiny on the inside. I've got a hefty amount of channeled messages for you guys. I'm going to lay out the cards and then I'm going to get into them. Alright, pile 2. Channeled messages for you guys. Try. Put forth effort towards the things that matter most to you. The only thing standing in the way is the fear of failure. But what is failure but another chance to try? Be authentically you. No one else can be you, and everyone's perspective is valid and necessary. Don't shy away from being seen because you are afraid to be judged. You are the same as everyone else with different challenges. That's a that came through, but I know that that's an oracle message from like another deck out there somewhere. They got the little like circles on them and stuff, and they got like keywords, and then they have like quotes that change your perspective on them or whatever. I wish I knew what it was called. Um, but that's one of them. That's I think maybe it actually is failure. I'm uncertain. I don't know, but it came through, and I know that that's where it's from. Um, so you are the same as everyone else with different challenges. Quitters never win, and winners never quit. Keep going. You will make it through. Be thorough. Accept help, and don't be afraid to ask for it. I know that's like backwards, but that's how it came out. Um, Eliminate distractions and stay focused. And then the energy that I got immediately after that was like this like restless, frustrated, like you don't really know what to do with yourself, kind of overwhelming frustration. Um and then immediately following that I got the word or the term breath work. So I feel like if that's a state of being that you're experiencing, I would look into breath work. And I personally have started picking up breath work about a week ago. I have a calendar up here. I am just looking crazy. But I started picking up breath work and I started doing it like 10 minutes a day, and it's honestly really, really fucking helpful. Like, I have anxiety like a motherfucker, and sometimes my brain will not shut off, but this breath work is doing wonders for me. Even something as small as 10 minutes a day. Like, that makes it easy to incorporate, because it's like all you have to do is just incorporate it 10 minutes a day. Sometimes when I wake up, I'll have anxiety immediately as soon as I realize that I'm conscious, and my thoughts will just start to go. So before I even get out of bed, I'll just start to do breath work, and then after I'm done, I'll get up out of bed. So just my little, from me to you, my personal subjective experience to you, just what works for me, just giving you an example. That's all. What else do we have? Take time out to relax. Get clear on what you are actually. Get clear on what. Jesus fucking Christ. Get clear on what you are actually working towards. Unwavering conviction. You are loved and you are supported. Explore new ways to get things done that make you feel less stressed. And that's the T. So let's get into it. So we've got this first pile. The lesson that keeps repeating is the Six of Air, which is the Six of Swords. Clarified by the Nine of Wands and the Tower. So what I'm immediately getting with this is okay, I'm getting a couple things. So the Six of Air is moving to calmer waters typically in traditional tarot. So like moving from like not great like mental fog, like anxiety, not even necessarily anxiety because that would be more like Nine of Swords, but like Five of Swords, like argumentative, like maybe environments, maybe it's a state of mind, like just like mental confusion, just not great mental energy. So Six of Swords is moving away from that, so moving from that to calmer waters. With the Tower and the Nine of Wands, what I'm getting is moving away from, I feel like this is at least two separate groups. moving away from environments and people that make you feel like you have to defend yourself because they're so unpredictable in their antics, if you will. And then the other is you are creating the tower moment. So the Nine of Wands would speak to me also about almost like a milder form of like King of Wands leadership energy, where it's like, this is my life, I'm gonna do what the fuck I need to do, and ain't nobody gonna tell me otherwise. It's not quite that, but it's like you are pushing forward. Like you're, it's not necessarily defensive, but it's like you're standing for something. You are believing in something, like you're making it happen. You would be inducing this tower moment because it is in alignment with your convictions. Like that's going back to the channeled message, like unwavering conviction. If you're deciding to move away from an environment, people, places, things that make you feel like you have to be defensive and like that are stressing you out, have that unwavering conviction to upheaval anything that needs to be upheavaled. So if it's people, this isn't working for me, for example, like this isn't working for me, like I don't want to be a part of the strength group anymore because y'all stress me out. That's creating your own tower moment, because not everybody would be necessarily on board with that. I'd imagine there might be some pushback, and so it requires you to stand in your power to a certain extent, like stand with conviction. So I feel like the lesson that is repeating overall would be being able to decipher what you need to move away from and having the conviction to do so. I didn't want to use the word conviction. I was looking for another one, but it was like everybody has the capacity to do it, to do those things. So it's just a matter of whether or not you're willing to stand in that and to make it happen. So why is this lesson repeating? What is it showing you? We've got the Four of Water, which is the Four of Cups typically, clarified by the Moon, and the Star. And so what this is speaking to me about, this keeps repeating because it's forcing you to look at what is not working, like a reevaluation emotionally of what allows you to not just feel good, but to like be in a space where you feel that you can thrive and grow and like evolve into like a better version of yourself. And I'm getting two separate things, that's all. So Four of Water is speaking like a contemplation of what's working and what's not. And the Moon and the Star is giving, I feel that to some degree you feel intuitively like that nudging, that gut feeling, like that something needs to change, something needs to happen. Whether you're the one to initiate that or not, I'm more than willing to bet that it's you that has to initiate it, just based on the cards here. But you're not. And I'm going to get into that. So it's like you're in this, suspended in this contemplation of like what you should do about it, but you already know what you need to do about it, but you don't want to do anything about it. And this is bleeding into the next pile, but the other thing I'm going to touch on is intuitively you know that you need to heal. You need to move away from this environment, these people, places, and things. And so bleeding into this next pile, I just wanted to make sure that everything was like concise and like came through and there was no like straggler messages. So for the third card, what's difficult or painful about this? Like, why is there resistance to integrating this lesson in the first place? Because otherwise you would have already done it. And so this is why I say it bleeds into this pile, is because you've got the Five of Earth, which is the Five of Pentacles, which is like lack mentality, feeling left out in the cold, like loss. And it's not necessarily an emotional loss, although that can be a part of it. It is something physically is changing. Something physically has to happen. And so you know that something needs to change and you need to move away from something, but you're not doing it because it requires a physical separation. It requires a physical action to be taken. And it's clarified by the Ten of Swords and the Strength card. And so what this is telling me is that an ending needs to happen. And you need to be strong enough to implement it because you already know that that's what's needed. But it's not going to be comfortable. But that's also like what I'm getting with this star, is that in order to heal, in order to get to that place of things being comfortable or feeling good, you have to do this hard thing first. You have to do the thing that you don't want to do first, because it's going to get worse before it gets better. And it doesn't mean that worse is like, oh no, like scary, like everything's going to fall to shit and I'm not going to be able to find my way out. Like, no. It's just the worst is you're going to have to do something that you don't necessarily want to do, but it needs to happen in order for you to move forward. So that's why there's resistance, is because it's gonna fucking suck, dude. It's gonna fucking suck. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat that, because it's like when any sort of tower moment happens, whenever you're changing something up about like the way that you've been operating or the people that you've been hanging around with or what you've been doing or the environment that you're in, it's different. It's different. It's going to be unfamiliar. It's going to be like unknown. It's going to feel like you're losing something. But we never really lose things. They just come back. So it's like, you ever had like a shitty breakup with somebody and it's like, damn, but like I miss them. And it's like, yeah, you miss them and it's fine that you miss them, but it doesn't mean that that's the best that you're ever going to have. Better times are on the way, but they're not going to come if you don't let go of what the fuck you need to let go of now. And that's the T. So then we flow into, how can I see this lesson from a higher perspective? And we've got the Three of Water. Clarified by the Magician and the World. And now this is speaking more so to me about perhaps a group of friends, maybe family, like people. It's speaking about connections, like emotional connections to me, but typically like platonic ones, like ones that you've cultivated already. I feel that from a higher perspective, you can view this loss as making space for something new. You already know that you need to move away from whatever this is. So if you already know that you need to move away from it, you can be assured that better is coming. But you have to move away from this and let go of this first. It's like trying to get new furniture, but you haven't moved the old furniture out. Like, get the old furniture out and then we can move the new furniture in. And it may not happen overnight, but it will happen. And that's essentially what the Magician in the World is giving, is that, like, in order for new things to come in order for new manifestations to come in, you have to let go and allow the new to come in. There's a buggy guy on my table. Excuse me. That bleeds into how can I release myself from this cycle, which is the Queen of Air, the Fool, clarified by the Fool, and the Eight of Wands. Now, I'm getting more and more that this has to do with people, because how you can release yourself from this is boundaries, speaking up for what it is that works for you and what doesn't, why you're moving away from this, what's healthy for you and what's not. And then with the Fool and the Eight of Wands is giving me communication. It's giving me moving in the direction of what you know you need to be moving towards. But the Fool is taking that leap of faith. You don't know all the ins and outs of what's going to happen. You can't really see the things that are coming in. You can't see the new furniture before you move out the old furniture, but you got to trust that it's coming. So in terms of connections, either you need to establish boundaries with these people, and take that leap of faith to communicate those, even though it may upset people, like conviction, standing in your truth. Don't shy away from being seen because you're afraid to be judged. Whatever it is that you feel is good for you has nothing to do with other people. At the end of the day, you need to do what you need to do in order to evolve and grow into the best version of you. And if that requires you distancing yourself and letting go of some people, then so be it. It doesn't mean that they may not come back in at a later date if they are compatible with you at that time, but it doesn't change the fact that something needs to change right now. Putting forth effort towards the things that matter most to you. So that can be like the old switcheroo. So as you're letting go of whatever this is, you can, instead of hyper focusing on what you're letting go, you let go and then hyper focus on what you want to bring in. You know what doesn't work, so now you know a little bit more about what will work. So you know what you don't want, which leads you a little bit closer to what you do want, because you know what you don't want. You can narrow it down and be like, no, I had that flavor before, it's not it. I am going to pull one of these oracle cards for y'all. It is the Unshakable Inner Peace Oracle. Oh, y'all playing games. Y'all know I don't do that. Sometimes they be thinking they slick and throwing out multiple cards at the same time, and it's like, we don't do that here. We don't do that here. I need one at a time. Thank you. So, Great Awakening, walk in your truth, stand firm in your light. That's giving conviction again. How can you trust yourself more? So trust yourself to navigate whatever this is, because you're already getting the intuitive inklings that you need to do whatever this is. Do the hard thing. And it's not going to lead you to a place where it's like despair and like things aren't going to be good again. Like, yes, they will. They just got to suck a little bit first, because change sucks sometimes. And then on the bottom, you've got eliminate distractions. Stop shining light on things you are not. Deadass, I said that. Eliminate distractions and stay focused. How can you reclaim your power? So it's like Nine of Wands energy in the beginning. Like, you are the tower moment. You are deciding, this doesn't work for me anymore. I'm moving in a different direction. Sorry about you. Like, it's gonna suck. It's gonna be not like seamless, but you gotta rip the band-aid off, because standing in your power and saying, this doesn't work for me and I'm willing to do something about it, allows you to have more trust in yourself to navigate the difficult things. So if anything, let this be a stepping stone to, like, how do I describe this? Like, this stepping stone, like, it may feel like a huge hurdle now, and it may be. But later on, when you're faced with another similar situation where you need to move away from something or establish a boundary or speak your truth or something, you're going to look back on this and go, I can trust myself to navigate this because I did this hard thing before. So that's that. So that's your reading, y'all. If you picked another pile, I will see you there. And if you want to come back for another reading, that's also a thing that you can do. I'm going to catch you at another now moment. I love you guys. Yo, welcome to pile 3. This one I do know the name of. It is an amethyst. And Shibam. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay these out, and then I'm going to get into your guys' channeled messages. You also had a long one. Like this bitch, the page is filled. Okay, so it was this one first. Alright. So for pile 3, your channeled messages are as follows. Go slow. Take time to sit with yourself and to understand why you are feeling the ways that you are. Don't rush this process. It is important that you have what you... Oh, sorry. I can't even read my own writing. It is important that you hear what your emotional states are telling you about your current circumstances. Do not be ashamed of your desires. They don't have to be realistic by other standards or even yours. If it lights you up and you want it, go for it. Speak about what you truly want. Don't wait for others to validate your desires. Not everyone will, and if you wait until they come around, which they may never, you could sell yourself short when it comes to your emotional fulfillment. You are not alone in what you desire. Baby steps. As you take steps in the direction of your fulfillment, you will be supported. Have faith in your ability to keep moving forward. Don't stop because others don't understand why you want what you want. Every black belt was once a white belt. Alternatively, a black belt is a white belt who never gave up. Fun fact. So now getting into this reading, the repeating lesson is going to be this first card, so we're going to look at that. So 9 of water. Clarified by the 5 of cups. And the 10 of spheres, which is the 10 of pentacles. So what this is giving is, with the 9 of water, it's speaking about wish fulfillment, like the things that you desire, the things that you would like. Clarified by the 5 of cups and the 10 of spheres, it's giving almost this defeatist mentality where you are giving up or like giving yourself reasons to not go for it before you've even given it a shot, before you've started. And so I feel like this is speaking to the beginning part of the channeled messages of taking time to sit with yourself as to why you feel like this is unrealistic. Sit with yourself as to why you feel the need to shoot your dreams down before you even give them a chance. Like, I feel that another aspect of this is waiting for other people to validate that what you're doing is the right thing or like worth pursuing. Nobody else is going to be able to give you that answer, honey. Nobody else is going to be able to give you that answer because it's your wish fulfillment. It's what you desire. And so if even if other people, especially if other people don't understand what it is that you're doing or why it is that you want what you want, you're not obligated to make them understand. But are you going to let that their misunderstanding of what it is that you are pursuing or wanting to pursue paralyze you from actually going for it? That is the question. And sitting with those feelings and those perspectives and those emotional states and figuring out where the fears come from, where the sadness comes from, where the grieving the loss of it comes from before it's even attempted. Why this lesson keeps showing up for you, and what it's showing you. So clarified, not clarified. You've got the Page of Earth clarified by the Five of Swords and the King of Wands. That's the Five of Swords and the King of Wands. So why it keeps showing up for you, it's giving this student mentality, like you're at the beginning of whatever this is that you would like to grow, that you would like to put energy into. You've been advised to take it slow. So baby steps, that's what this is giving. Taking baby steps, practical baby steps towards what it is that your fulfillment is. And I'm also going to reiterate this from the first pile. It's not going to happen all at once. And I may have even said this in the second pile. But it will not happen all at once. Like, it is a process. You're going to have to take time to build this. And as you build this, you're going to encounter people who don't understand what you're doing or why you want what you want. But as long as you are firm in your knowing, in your conviction, because if it matters to you, that's all that matters, because it's not anybody else's life that you're living. If you don't follow your dreams, the only one that's going to have regrets at the end of the day and at the end of your life is you. So it's this student mindset of like taking baby steps and becoming familiar with the beginning, like starting, like the pitfalls that come with starting anything new. This King of Wands and the Five of Swords is giving, it's, you're fighting your own mind and also perhaps like the perspectives and opinions of others, maybe like in an argumentative sense, or maybe just like conflict of opinion. But it's showing you with this King of Wands like how you can step more powerfully into your truth and say, yes, this is what I want. And I may have fears and doubts and anxieties and all of these other things going on within my own psyche about how it is that I'm going to make this happen, or whether or not it's like even worth pursuing or any of that jazz. But also being faced with that from the external and still saying like, okay, I may have this going on within me, but I'm not going to take it from you. Like, I have enough self-doubt going on within myself. I don't need to compound it by believing other people around me. And I know that's easier said than done. Believe me, I do know that that is easier said than done. But it is a process, just like any other. Every time a thought comes up that's like, oh, I don't know how we're going to do this. Like, maybe it's never going to work out. It's like, that's so zoomed in. You don't know enough about your situation to determine that. Because if you did, then you would also be able to see the solution forward and the steps that you need to take. So if you're feeling like rigid and boxed in and like things are a little unclear, like, oh, maybe it's not going to work. You don't know enough about your situation to determine that. Then this bleeds into what is difficult or painful about like integrating this lesson, like what is the resistance. And it's giving I said it's giving. I mean, I'm not wrong. It is giving. But you've got the Two of Water, which is the Two of Cups, and it's got these two little fish looking in two opposite directions, which is speaking to me about conflicting opinions, conflicting visions, perhaps. Clarified by Justice and the Ace of Spheres. It's this Justice card that's getting me. Like, it feels like there's something deeper in there. Okay, so this could be an internal process or an external process, or a blend of both. So the Justice is giving like light and dark. It's a balance of both. Um, so it's being able to perhaps see where the perspectives are coming from. Yep, this is exactly what it's giving. So you're being called to sit with yourself and your emotions in regards to the situation, to understand why you're feeling what you're feeling, so that way you can also understand why other people are feeling what they're feeling. So like if your perspectives are, well, I don't know if I should do this thing because it's risky and it's scary and I've never done it before, and what if I'm judged and all this jazz, and it's like you're not the only people and not the only person that has those kinds of thoughts. Other people also have their own version of those thoughts. So for example, when I do things that are like seemingly reckless, or like, oh, like that's not a good investment, but my intuition is like, yeah, no, like do this. I stand in that with conviction. And sometimes that triggers people because they're like, well, how do you know? Like, what are you doing? Like, where's your proof? Like, very that. And it's like, I've been through this in my own subjective experience so many times where I've not had the proof, but I followed the inkling, and it literally has led to exactly what I wanted. So it's like, I have compassion for the people who do need that physical evidence, who do need that grounded, well, how is it going to work? Like, very that, or that doesn't make any sense. I understand where they're coming from because I'm also a very mental person, like mentally operating person. So it's like, even though I'm able to follow my intuition, there are times, especially within the past year or so, where it's like, okay, yeah, but like, wouldn't it be safer to do it this way? Like, wouldn't it be more practical to do it this way? Wouldn't it make more sense? And they're like, I know you want it to make sense, but like, that's the gag. You want it to make sense, but this isn't about making sense at this point. This is about following your intuition and pursuing what it is that you feel you want to pursue, following your desires. So it's like this Justice is balancing the fact that anybody who comes against you saying that like your desires are unrealistic, or like how is it going to work, or like, oh, like you shouldn't want that, it's like having compassion for them as human beings, because they're not in your body and they're not feeling what you're feeling, so they're most likely not even able to see your vision. So it's like, I have compassion for you, but I know what I'm doing, and you may feel like you don't know what you're doing, but like, it's that intuitive nudging of like following your desires, like whatever it is that you feel that this wish fulfillment is, go for it and take baby steps. Don't be ashamed of your desires. They don't have to be realistic by other standards or even your own. You're going to realize through this introspection, I feel, that a lot of the ways that you're thinking about your own wish fulfillment in terms of this Five of Cups defeatist mentality is projections from other people, because other people have told you that's not realistic, you now have internalized that as truth. But your intuition is like, no, that's not it. Go towards this. There's like a butting of heads between your intuition and what you previously thought, or what you have anxiety about what might happen. And also it's scary to like go against other people's like opinions and stuff, because it's like, especially when it involves intuition and like your own desires and what it is that you want, because it can make you second guess yourself and go, well, maybe is this good? Is this what I want? Is this like a good choice? Is this a good investment? And it's like, nobody's gonna have that answer for you except for you, because other people are not in your body. They can't determine what a good choice for you is. Only you can. How can this be seen from a higher perspective? The Five of Water, again. So this sadness, this grief, this woe is me, like very that kind of energy. Not to like poke fun at it, but like that's what she looked like on the card. Clarified by the Five of Wands and the Six of Wands. So from a higher perspective, you may be feeling that there's like a loss of hope, or like no reason to pursue this, or it's stupid to want what you want. But recognizing that this is not the last time that you will ever experience that, and this is merely like you getting a taste for that. I'm not saying you haven't experienced it before, if you have, but rather that this will eventually become child's play to you, because you'll be so acquainted with it that you're gonna just know what it is, and you're not gonna fall prey to the opinions of others in such a way where it affects you so deeply. So it's like, from a higher perspective, this emotional like grief that you're experiencing, this sadness, this like loss of hope that you're experiencing, will serve to not only experience yourself more deeply, but others more deeply, in a more like human way, where it's like we're all just wanting to do the right thing in whatever way that looks like. And sometimes doing the right thing for you specifically will cause other people to get their feathers ruffled. Or they'll have an opinion about like what's realistic and what's not. And that's not saying like that they're bad or wrong or anything. It just makes them human and they don't understand. And that's not to say that you're not human, because like chances are you don't really understand either. And that's okay. But it's just a matter of what you're willing to put stock into energetically. Are you going to follow your desires and what feels good to you, or are you going to listen to other people and feel like shit about it? So it's like, on your way to victory, on your way to this Ten of Spheres, this Ten of Pentacles, this like established like legacy, perhaps like this grounded, like I built this, I did this, this is my dream, this is my fulfillment. On your way there, you're gonna experience a lot of this energy, and not back to back to back to back, but like you're going to experience it from time to time in such a way that you'll eventually become resistant to the opinions of others, in such a way that it sways your conviction. Like, yeah, okay, that may be how you perceive it, and that's how you you view it, but like that's not my vision, and like that's not how I operate. So I'm gonna keep on going and doing what I feel like I need to do. Whether or not you are on board with that, it doesn't matter because it's not about you, like at the other people. It's not about them. It's about what you want. It's about what feels good for you. So seeing this as a stepping stone, as this is like if you're really wanting this thing, you can have it. But zooming out enough for you to see that this is like a character development type stage. Also, I'm itching because these fucking mosquitoes are relentless, yo. Like, I was outside today and I was just trying to chill and enjoy the motherfucking nature. And these mosquitoes gonna come up and get me. And they piss me off so fucking much, dude. Can't have nothing with them hoes around. Parasitic asses. So the last card is how can you release yourself from this cycle? So that's giving. I touched on it in the prior pile. So the King of Water, which is the King of Cups, which is speaking to me about emotional maturity, like being able to see, okay, I know why I'm feeling the way that I am about this situation. I can see my own self defeating, self limiting programs and narratives that are spinning in my psyche. I have compassion for them because they're valid, but it doesn't make them true. It's like that's a very real concern that you may have, whether you're addressing this within yourself or like others externally. Like that's a very real concern. Like thank you for bringing that up. However, that's not the truth of the situation. And then clarified by Temperance and the Queen of Wands. So it's like coming to this state of emotional balance within yourself and recognizing that it is absolutely okay for you to desire the things that you do and to want the things that you do and to put energy towards those things. And anybody who has like a argumentative type conflicting opinion about it and they're trying to tell you what's what, you're going to be able to see that from a balanced perspective and say, well, you're just projecting your own lack of clarity and need for it to make sense onto me. Like if like for from my specific experience, like if I'm following my intuition and somebody's like, well, how do you know, like what's why are you so confident in that, like very that, it's like the only reason that you want me to explain it to you is because you don't know. Why do you feel that you need to know? Why would knowing about my endeavors and the certainty that I have moving step by step in those endeavors, why would that give you peace of mind if it has nothing to do with you? So it's like that Queen of Wands energy standing in your confidence and your ability to recognize what's yours and what's not. Other people's perspectives are not the truth of your situation and what it will amount to. Other people's opinions of you do not have to become your reality. That feels like a quote from something. It's in like a mix of music that I have, and it's like an excerpt that's thrown into a song, and I don't know what it is. But that's what it is. It's like other people's opinions of you does not have to become your reality. And once you really settle into that and can see that within yourself and see that appear in others, you're going to have compassion for it and you're going to be able to approach it and deal with it in a more balanced way, in a more confident way. I'm going to pull an oracle card for you. And then we're going to close it out. All right. So on the bottom of the deck, we've got anxiety isn't trying to limit you, but free you from a situation that no longer feels good. What is your discomfort trying to free you from? And then the card that actually came out is eliminate distractions. Stop shining light on things you are not. How can you reclaim your power? So what it's giving is, if this is internal, stop focusing on how it won't work out and focus on how it could, and take those baby steps, because it's not going to happen overnight. So if you're building brick by brick, do you want to be building reasons for like self-doubt and defeat, or like with the bricks of self-doubt and defeat, and this is never going to work and it's not realistic? Or do you want to build with the blocks of hope and say, I don't know how, but I believe that it can happen, and I'm going to take steps, step by step, and do that. So it's just a matter of getting clear on what it is that you need to be focusing on and what it is that you don't need to be focusing on. And then paying attention to what your anxiety is telling you about the situation that you're in, about the people that you're around, the environment itself, maybe like what it is that you're doing, the thoughts that you're thinking, things that you're doing as a result of the thoughts that you're thinking. It could be literally anything, but like you need to tune into your emotions and get clear with those aspects of you about why you're feeling what you're feeling, and not like try to rush through it. Because it's like, imagine that like a child came up to you and is like, hey, like I had a really bad day, like I'm really just like, or like even as like scared or feeling the exact same thing that you're trying to push away, like the anxiety or whatever. It's like, imagine that they came up to you voicing that concern, and you're like, yeah, I'll sit with you. And then like 5 minutes in, you're like, God, can we speed this up already? Like, can we just, can we move through this? Like, I don't want to be feeling this anymore. It's like, that makes you feel not seen and not heard, and like they don't give a fuck about you. And it's like, okay, well, you're just trying to make me speed through this so that way you can be more comfortable. Like, that's you at you, babe. And that's why you need to sit with yourself. Stop trying to bulldoze your own process. You need to allow the emotions to come up because they're valid. They do mean something. They may be uncomfortable, but the only way that they're going to transform is if you move through them. You can't ignore them. They're just going to get bigger and louder. But yeah, that's all I got for you, Pile 3. I appreciate you. I love you so much. I love you so big. I'm going to catch you at another now moment. In another video, mayhaps. Mayhaps not. That's okay either way. I'm going to be here doing what I want to do. And yeah, that's that. I'll catch you at another now.